haven't spoken to a single person who's not fully behind what Israel's doing in Iran. Spoken to lots of people who are furious with Netanyahu, who really disagree with the way this war is being conducted, particularly in relation to the hostages. But actually, Iran is seen as an existential threat to the people of Israel and the West here. And there's enormous solidarity behind that mission of eradicating the threat from Iran, even despite the enormous cost.
Israel says it has full aerial control over the Iranian capital of Tehran, 4 days after launching strikes on the country. Iran has returned fire with a wave of missiles overnight, with some penetrating the Iron Dome defence system. Joining me now is Jane Prinsley from the Jewish Chronicle. She is in Tel Aviv. Jane, hello.
Hi, Hugo.
Thanks for being with us. So tell us, what happened where you are overnight?
So I am staying with some family in central Tel Aviv, about 5 minutes from the beach. We heard the sirens overnight twice, once early in the evening and then at around 4 o'clock in the morning, just before 4 o'clock in the morning. Myself and my father-in-law, who I'm staying with, decided to head to the shelter as the app that people in Israel have got advises. We headed to the shelter, which takes us about a minute and a half to get to. Once there, we waited, and inside the shelter, we felt an enormous boom. And that was a direct missile hit from Iran, just 50 meters away from where we were. So when we then exited the shelter, about 10 minutes later, all the internal doors in the building we had been in were off their hinges, the ceilings had fallen in, and we went to the site of the strike. Pretty immediately, we saw the fire, a thick smell of burning plastic in the air, and people filling the streets, confused, people carrying their dogs, carrying children in their pajamas, in very few clothes, glass everywhere. And when we eventually made it back to where I'm staying with my father-in-law, his house has been quite badly affected. So windows smashed here, bits of the ceiling has come in. So it's pretty scary, to be honest. It really feels like an active war zone here.
Well, so Tel Aviv and the rest of Israel indeed are no strangers to sort of occasional and intermittent rocket fire. Does this feel like a real step change in terms of how vulnerable Israeli citizens feel to an attack from the air?
Absolutely. I think here in Tel Aviv and in Israel as a whole, there's an enormous amount of resilience. People are incredibly stoical and they're strong. They have to be. But for example, my father-in-law, who I'm staying with, wouldn't normally go to a shelter for the sort of the Houthi rockets that he's quite used to. But for this, each day that I've been here, I arrived very late on Thursday, got probably one of the last flights out of London to Tel Aviv in time for Pride here, which was obviously cancelled. Each night the sirens have gone off, it's got consecutively worse, the damage that we've seen. The death toll now stands at, I think, 24, last I checked. And every time I've gone to the shelters, there's been more and more people in the shelters as Israelis up and down the country see the damage that's being inflicted. I mean, these missiles, they mean business. They are enormous. I've seen the damage that they do. You do not want to be anywhere near one of those.
From the perspective of elsewhere, this is a stage in the conflict, indeed a conflict that Israel has begun. What's the threshold for people in Israel where they start? The anger begins to be directed not just at Iran for firing these missiles, but at the Israeli government for bringing this about. Do you feel that's a long way off?
Really interesting, because I think that's definitely a discussion in the UK. I can see a lot of people saying that back home. Here, I haven't spoken to a single person who's not fully behind what Israel's doing in Iran. Spoken to lots of people who are furious with Netanyahu, who really disagree with the way this war is being conducted, particularly in relation to the hostages. But actually, Iran is seen as an existential threat to the people of Israel and the West here. And there's enormous solidarity behind that mission of eradicating the threat from Iran, even despite the enormous cost that it comes.
So Israel's defense minister has been briefing reporters this morning saying they've destroyed around a third of Iran's surface-to-air missile launchers. How well understood are Israel's aims in this war? At what point will this war be over? What will be achieved once it is over?
I don't know. I'm not a spokesperson for the Israeli government, so I'm not sure exactly. But I think speaking to people on the street here, the aim is to make sure Iran cannot have its nuclear weapon that it so wants. It's pretty clear from being in Israel that the targets that Iran are aiming at are civilians. They are choosing the areas which are highly populated, full of civilians, and that's where they're hitting. If Iran is to get its hands on a nuclear weapon, it's pretty clear what it would use that to do. It would aim directly, I'm sure, at Israel. So people here are very clear that Iran cannot get its hands on nuclear weapons.
Thank you very much indeed, Jane Prinsley, speaking there from Tel Aviv, and do stay safe, Jane.
Listener David Weitzman has got in touch with us. He travelled to Israel last week before the airstrikes between Israel and Iran started. He joins us on the line now from Tel Aviv. David, morning to you.
Hi, Stig. How's
it going? Tell us, how's it going is the operative question. What was it like last night? What's it been like the last couple of days?
Oh, I came over for Gay Pride last Wednesday, and clearly that got cancelled. And I'm in a hotel in Tel Aviv. There's a shelter here. I've been in the shelter so many times. I've lost count. And last night was the worst. I think it was one of the worst nights of my life. We were in the shelter. There must have been 60 of us in the shelter. We're underground. The door is so thick, so it protects us. And there was a massive explosion. The whole hotel shook. So we knew that there was a hit very, very close to us. So basically, I don't know if you know, there's everyone has an app, and there's a warning to give you 30 minutes warning to get ready to go to the shelter. So you go into the shelter. Anyway, I came out of the shelter afterwards. You get an app. The app says you can leave. I went into the street. There were fire engines, police, ambulances. The whole place was just a mess. And they hit 2 streets down is the American Embassy consulate. And I think that maybe Iran were aiming for that. But that's the only thing here, Stig. This is a tourist area. It's hotels and residents. And they're just indiscriminately ballistic missiles into these buildings. It's horrific. And I just want to get out. And what you said just now, Stig, about the embassy's advice, they're just useless. I phoned them this morning. I said, look, I need to get out. I've got a partner in London. My mother is completely beside herself with worry. They said, there's nothing we can do for you. There's no airspace. This airspace is closed. I said to them, well, there are things called buses. You could take us to Jordan. You could take us to Sharm el-Sheikh. We went, no, sorry, the Foreign Office, we're not doing that. You just have to be safe. And I thought, well, what's a load of rubbish?
So you can't get out. So you can't, David. You can't get out on a bus to another country.
I could do it myself. And there's a few English people in the hotel who are all desperate to leave. We might share a taxi, go down to Eilat. It's a 6.5-hour drive. You then get to a place called, I think it's Tabu, and then you cross over Egypt. You then get another taxi to Sharm el-Sheikh, and then there's planes out. There's also, you could go to the Allenby crossing to get into Jordan, but I think that's far more riskier because Jordan are helping Israel down the missiles.
Yeah. So
it's.
And what was it like in there? What was it like? Because it's a very strange experience for you, having come from Britain. You've ended up in a war zone, and you've ended up in a bomb shelter in a war zone. So the experience must be extremely. I can hear it in your voice, David. Shocking. What's it like in the middle of the night in a bomb shelter? What do you do? Do you sleep? Do you talk? Do you look around? What do you do?
Well, firstly, it's a long way from Radler. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And my family and my boyfriend and my dog. I sit there. I'm on my own here, so that makes it worse. I have Israeli friends because I used to live here in the 90s when it was a lot safer, if there's such a thing as being safe living in Israel. People talk to each other. There's dogs down there. People come from the street because a lot of the houses here don't have shelters or safe rooms because they're very old, from the 1930s and 40s. So they come into the shelter, and there's a bit of a community spirit. Israelis are tough people, and they're very resilient. And they try, and I get calm when I'm around them. The tourists are nervous. I mean, I've never been in a situation like this in my life. I was here a few years ago when rockets came over from Scud missiles from Gaza and Iraq, but they were just the odd one. This is just missile after missile. It's really frightening.
What's the mood about the Israeli government that you hear from people when you're in the shelter, or you're hearing people's conversations? You'll be seeing the media as well. That this is. Yeah. Are they saying this is? Are they supportive of Netanyahu? We know parts of Israel are very supportive. When he appeared there the other day, people were shouting support of him. What's the view on the decision to go after Iran now? What are people saying about that?
It's a very interesting question because people are supportive of it, and they're supportive of the mission because we're the only country in the world that's willing to do when I say we, Israel is the only country in the world that's willing to stand up for our democracy and the state of Israel. And I don't know why Iran hates the Jews and hates Israel so much. People are supporting it. I'm not a Netanyahu fan. I think what's happening in Gaza is heartbreaking, and I can't stand Ben Gvir and Smodrich and all those people. But I think what Netanyahu's done here in the government is the right thing. But it's whether it was the right time to do it now, I don't know. I'm not a politician, but it's heartbreaking on every side. It's very hard to speak because I'm just. It's very scary. I just want to get home, to be honest.
Yeah, you want to get home. And what do you think you'll do just fine? Do you think you'll go for a taxi ride, try and get into Egypt? Do you think you'll go for that?
Yeah, I will, because I don't want to go on my own. I need to find people who'll go with me. I don't want to go through a desert for 4 hours on my own. So if I can find people in the hotel who want to come with me, then we'll just share the ride, and at least there'll be some companionship on the way. But it's not going to get any better here.
No,
it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse.
It feels that we're along. We had a reporter on at the beginning of the program saying that they've fired 400 missiles and they may have several thousand in reserve, Iran. So there's no sign this is going to stop anytime soon. I think that's right. Well, listen, David, we're very grateful to hear from you, and look after yourself. Stay safe, and I hope you get home really, really soon.
Thank you, and thank you for Times Radio. I listened to you since the day you started, and it's a great radio station. I really love it.
Oh, bless your heart, David. Well, listen, look after yourself. We'll hopefully hear from you when you get home.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Take care.